Well, what an awesome game that one was. Australia versus Portugal, 34 points to 14. What an exciting game. I'm so glad we finally had one this weekend. I've got to say, I've not really necessarily enjoyed the rugby this week. I'm not a person that necessarily enjoys one team just dispatching of another team. I like to see some close games. I didn't have time to do a preview video for this game, but it was one I was really excited for. This one was up there with Fiji, Georgia in terms of the games I was really looking forward to watching this weekend, but this one exceeded my expectations. Portugal coming for this game really hard, but Australia managing to seal out the job, 34 points to 14. In the end, the game is just finished on my end, so we're going to have a run through some full-time thoughts, go over some of the key match highlights and takeaways from this game. Of course, drop down in the comment section what you thought of this one, because hopefully it's all positive, because I thoroughly enjoyed this one. I wish we got to see more of Portugal play. I think they were absolutely fantastic. Australia getting this one off to a good start, a good opening 3 minutes for them. They had some good structure, some good organisation. It's what people wanted to see from Australia in this game, was probably get that bonus point, get those tries, and sort of show a little bit of groundwork ready for after they most likely get out of the World Cup, that they've got a platform to build again from at the end of this World Cup. The first 3 minutes then was really solid. They got themselves a penalty. Ben Donaldson kicking that one over. That was winning a penalty at the scrum. But the next 10 minutes, all Portugal on the attack, spreading it wide, some no-look passes, Grubber kicks through, making an absolute nuisance of themselves against what is probably about as big as the Australian team has been across the World Cup, really putting them under big pressure, and eventually it did pay off. Betancourt getting over for his try in the corner from a lovely out the back no-look pass, getting out to him on the wing, beating Coriobetti and Kellaway into the corner to score a try. Superb work from him, and Marks getting a conversion that would rival some of the best kickers in the world from the scrum half to take Portugal into the lead 7 points to 3, and I thought we were in for an awesome full 80 minutes of rugby. Unfortunately, did take a bit of a stunt once Betancourt got his yellow card. That was a shoulder on the head collision in the tackle. It's reminiscent of some big tackles we've seen in the past as well that have certainly been given red cards. Now, this one wasn't. The TMO came back. They did the bunker review thing. They said it wasn't a red card. I don't really know why it wasn't a red card. I'm glad it wasn't, because it allowed this game to be something. But I really don't understand the changes in the rules from one occasion to another one. This one was deemed as not high danger, even though he was upright in the tackle from distance, saw it coming, and made full shoulder contact to the head. I don't really understand that mitigation of how that's not a red card, but like I said, I'm kind of glad it wasn't, because I felt like if it had done, I think that might have ruined this game. Australia did make the most of that yellow card, though, scoring 21 points over the next sort of 10 minutes while that yellow card was on the go. Just going through power. To be honest, Australia's attack today, they had moments of little sparks of looking good, but it was the Australia of old, just going through the forwards, the big carries. Again, Nwangani Tawase and Coriobetti, again, not involved with this attack. Focchetti had a couple of decent runs in this game, but it was the forwards doing most of the work. Richie Arnold's try coming off the back of a line out. Angus Bell, who played very well today, carrying hard up to the line. Valentini carrying hard, gets the offload. Richie Arnold getting over for his. Dave Parecki was off the back of a driving maul, which is, one of Australia's better weapons they have in this game. And then Angus Bell, again, that pick and go through the forwards, just doing that hard graft and getting over for the try. So all 3 tries coming through the forwards over the next 10 minutes. We found out that yellow card was sticking as a yellow card, and Portugal getting back up to that full contingency, which was so nice to see in terms of just enjoying this game as a neutral watcher. Both teams had the opportunities for more tries. Australia will still probably been a bit frustrated at the end of that first half. They missed out on 2 big try scoring opportunities. They'd already scored 1 driving maul try. The other one got ruined by an obstruction. Completely unnecessary. They looked to be winning the driving maul in that first half. Really wasn't necessary. And then another one off the back of the line out. They chose to not go for the driving maul. Shipped it out to Coriobetti on a massive line. Got hit by a Portuguese defender and dropped the ball. So 2 opportunities lost for them there. And Portugal having one of their tries disallowed. Martins going in on the left wing, charging up through Storti, who started them off, who had another monstrous game. These Portuguese wingers, Marta and Storti in this game, absolutely fabulous. I really wish we got to see more Portugal rugby. But given to the open side flank at a charge margin in the corner. Oh, just got to give a pass or take a step inside. Got bundled into touch just before touching the ball down by Kellaway, who had some good coverage today in the backfield for Australia, which is one of the reasons why I said he should have been starting more games. I actually thought Kellaway did well in the backfield today, stopping that try. So Australia went in 24-7 at half-time. They looked in control after that yellow card kicked in, but it really felt like Portugal needed to lose that man in order for Australia to really take the advantage from that game, because Portugal had really decent spells. In the second half, then Fraser McWright got his try in the 47th minute. Again, just carrying through those forwards. Eventually, that Portuguese defence just, sort of filtering in a little bit and then just shipping it out wide. A lovely little offload to him actually to score in the corner. But one of the bigger talking points for Australia from this game, the sheer volume of unnecessary penalties given away in this one. There was a number of them, and it did come back to bite them. 2 yellow cards, within 2 minutes of each other, going to Fassler and Karevi. Fassler's just numerous penalties on the bounce. There was 10 penalties at one point in Australia's own 22. Fassler coming in completely illegally in the maul, and actually sort of being a bit of a result in Portugal not getting their second try of the game. Tadja taking that one over for the driving maul try. Fassler coming in illegally, so got yellow carded for it. The TMO calls in kind of late on this one and said it's clearly lost forwards. Now, I had a look at that slow-mo footage. I don't know if I necessarily agree that it was very clearly lost forwards. I definitely think an Australian arm got in there and maybe lost a bit of control. I don't necessarily think that went completely forwards and bounced to the ground, but I've only just seen the game. Maybe if I watched it back, I would think differently. But then at the end of it as well, they had the yellow card for an illegal action in the maul, and then the tries disallowed from that same maul. I really think that should have been a penalty try. The referees looked at it quite hard. They were really trying to pinpoint it and said that the action caused by Fassler was earlier on and therefore didn't impact it. I don't think that's right. I feel like if someone makes an impact in the maul, even if it's a couple of meters back, and that same maul gets disrupted later on, if they didn't do that illegal thing, would Portugal not have been in a better shape to not allow the Australian guy to get in there? I'm not a fan of that. I personally think that probably should have been a penalty try, but Australia did survive that one. Karevi's was a weird one with the forearm launch into I think it was Appleton's face on the actual attack. He had the ball in his own hands, but a very clear yellow card as well, completely unnecessary. There was a couple of other big ones as well from these, the Australian substitutions. Faa Amusili had about 3 after coming on, just pushing a player over, which just gave the positions back to Portugal in terms of the pitch. Karevi had a tackle off the ball that was just completely unnecessary, and then Fassler again changing binds in the maul on another occasion. So these substitutions coming on for Australia, giving them real headaches, and just giving up all that territory and possession back to Portugal when they're on the offensive. Portugal not making the most of the yellow card, so they did get one try. Simoes did manage to get over for his try off the back of a very dominant scrum by Portugal, driving Australia back. He picks it up from the back and dives over to get his try, and Marks converted that one as well. But there was probably a good 20-minute period in this game where Portugal felt like they had full control of the game. They're trying to show off to the world, why they want to play in more of these, tier 1 games. They look really solid doing it, not managing to convert them to tries, even though they had 2 tries disallowed in this game. One thing I did take away from this is I think maybe they should have gone for points along the way as well. They had 2 yellow cards. Over the course of those 2 yellow cards, they had 4 penalties, very kickable, in front of the post. And I did think maybe, I know they want the tries, they want to score those big points, but they have 4 very kickable opportunities. If you just take those kicks over, that's another 12 points to you. This game ends 34 points to 26. How hard pressed have you pushed Australia there? You also had 2 tries disallowed. Could have been a win. Could have been a win if you just take those opportunities and maybe you don't get a little bit unlucky with the TMO really searching to find that you drop the ball in the maul. I feel like that you could maybe look at a lot more mauls and see that the ball gets dropped by them. Australia did manage to get 1 try at the end. Coriobetti getting his in the 74th minute. Didn't do a lot all game, to be fair. Was out of position a lot. Had a very weird game. It looked like he was getting very frustrated. Out of position a lot. Not really doing too well on the attack. The ball kept getting kicked to him. His kick exits were pretty poor. The tackle was solid. The tackles that he was putting in was trying to kill people who was in front of him, but did manage to get over for the try, and that's probably about all he managed to achieve all day, compared to a couple of dominant tackles in there. Really, really struggling in the game for him. Australia managing to take this one, but Portugal for me have become such an enjoyable side to watch. I've thoroughly enjoyed seeing them throughout this World Cup. Of course, they get to go on to play Fiji next week, and hopefully we get to see more from them again, displaying some really, really solid rugby. Australia did take this one. I don't think they've answered the questions that have been asked of them. They got the bonus point try, which is what they wanted. Eddie Jones had a lot of talking points about how they wanted to leave on a very positive note from this World Cup if they're not going to be able to get through. But I still don't think that performance is really the showcase for Australia in this one. I can imagine it being very hard at the minute as a Wallabies supporter. Although, yeah, they got the 4 tries. All 4 tries coming through the forwards by just powering over Portugal, who are what, 16th in the world? I can't remember what they are at the minute. 16th, 18th in the world. Just sheer power. 3 of them coming from a 14-man defence. Okay, great. But as soon as Portugal are back up to that full contingency, Australia did struggle against them. Their own penalties, their own issues, 4 or 5 penalties that were completely unnecessary, 2 yellow cards that were just their own fault, not giving them the best, sort of exit game. They got the win. They scored 34 points. A couple of the forwards for Australia did show off to me again today. Angus Bell is a bit of a shining star in this Australian team. I thought he had an absolute corker today, as did Fraser McWright, to be fair. Again, in terms of the defensive work and the turnovers from him, I thought he was absolutely solid. But in terms of the amount of positives I have to talk about, I think there's more to talk about Portugal. Storty and Marta both looked absolutely awesome. Appleton was leading from the front, those backs absolutely launching. Martins, he had his try disallowed, but so many great carries from him, really putting Australian defence under all sorts of pressure all game. A superb game, this one. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Best game of the round for me so far. I'm off now to go watch South Africa versus Tonga to finish out round 4. We're on to round 5. How crazy is that? Of course, over the rest of this week, then we'll be doing more preview videos. Hopefully, work for me is not going to be quite as crazy this week, so hopefully we'll get as many preview videos out as we can. So if you want to stay up to date with all the latest rugby news, make sure you do subscribe to the channel. And if you've enjoyed this one today, make sure you do hit that like button. Well done to Australia on getting the win. We'll go on to watch Fiji, of course, play Portugal next week to see how it ends up in the quarterfinals. Because maybe from the performance we saw from Fiji yesterday versus the performance from Portugal today, that game might get a little bit closer than a lot of people expect. And maybe Australia, on the points difference, can see them actually maybe managing to just about squeak through into those quarters. But I think Fiji will be up for a big game in that one. I hope you've all enjoyed this one today, guys. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.